Hey everybody, so Michael Reel's Super Bowl Mythic Spectacle, I thought that it was super interesting. Um, and so the way that he compares the Super Bowl to a mythic spectacle, the first thing that I'll talk about is how the individual, feels the need of participation, identification, and meaning to life. And I feel like the Super Bowl does that. When people get in a big group and watch a football game, they feel almost like they have a purpose. They feel a part of a community, and it brings people together in a socialized manner. Um, and also, it gives people identification. Like, a lot of the times people will be like, oh, you're a Ravens fan? And I don't know. A Ravens fan? They're like, yeah. And so they become friends, and they don't know anything else about each other. Another thing that he talks about was how people view seasons of a year as sports seasons instead of winter, fall, spring, summer. They say, oh, it's baseball season, it's basketball season, it's football season. And they also, let's say it's Thanksgiving, he put this in his article as well. They use it as a national holiday. And they see national holidays such as Thanksgiving and Christmas as football season. It's like, oh no, it's Thanksgiving Day, it's football season. And so I thought that was really interesting. Another thing he talks about was how the Super Bowl is a money maker. All the commercials, people make bank off of the commercials. And also the teams involved, I did not know this, but so let's say you're the winning team, you make a certain amount of money, and even if you're the losing team, you make a certain amount of money. And one other thing that jumped out at me was somebody had asked a football player that played in the Super Bowl. They asked him, was it fun? Like you're living out your childhood dream, blah, blah, blah. And the guy replied, it was work. And that was kind of depressing because I feel like that's the whole point of sports, especially as an athlete. You want it to be fun, and if you're not having fun, it's absolutely miserable. So yeah, and he also talks about how violent the sport was back then, and it's still violent today, and the physical toll that it took on the athletes' bodies. So things that are still relevant today are the money. The money is a lot. I feel like it's everything about the Super Bowl. The commercials are still relevant. The social part of it is still relevant. The personal identification is still relevant. Things that aren't as relevant, he talked about the halftime show. And I feel like the halftime show has evolved dramatically. Like there's big artists today. It's almost like a whole concert. And back then, it was maybe like one person singing or playing a fiddle, I think he said in his article. Another thing that I didn't think was as relevant was the injuries. The way he talked about the injuries back then was a lot more significant than the injuries today. I feel like we take a lot of precaution today with injuries, more than we did back then. And so the article that I chose about the Super Bowl, it was called Real Women Watch Football. And it really caught my eye. That was really the reason why I picked the article. It caught my eye because I'm a female involved in sports. And so it talks about it compares women to men and how they view the Super Bowl. And so one thing that really stuck out to me, I didn't really think that a lot of women watched the Super Bowl, but it said that 45% of the total viewing audience of the Super Bowl was female. And I thought that was really interesting. But females and males have two completely different reasons for watching the Super Bowl. They said that females did it more as a social thing and to drink wine and to hang out with their friends, blah, blah, blah. Whereas males use it, they're more into it, more into the statistic part of it. Another thing that stuck out to me was they make clubs for for women. Like the Baltimore Ravens came up with a purple club for women, and they provided them with wine, and they could drink it in the locker room. And I had no clue about that. But it really got women more involved because it was more of a social aspect than it was anything else. They also had a group called Football 101 where they help females become more knowledgeable about the game of football. And so I think that this can really help in the future Super Bowls because they research the tendencies, the watching tendencies of of females and males, and so they're trying to get people in, especially females. Now that it's 45% of the targeted audience, so like the Baltimore Ravens, they provided wine and gave them a room, a locker room, and they said that females wanted more of the story and wanted to get more personalized rather than men who just enjoyed the game. And so that I think that can help in the future. So yeah.